Chapter 6364. Abram said, photographic reconnaissance satellites work in low Earth orbits and can orbit the Earth in about 80 minutes. During this process, they can continuously take pictures of the areas they pass through. As I said just now, the higher the accuracy required, the heavier the task of shooting. If you really want to achieve the accuracy of Google and other high-precision satellite maps, it will take a long time to collect images, and even more time to process them. This is why most satellite images have a long update cycle. This year, we can see last year's satellite images on the internet, which is considered fast in terms of timeliness. It is estimated that only Google can achieve this timeliness, and most of the materials used are from a few years ago. Charlie asked him, since the satellite is always orbiting the Earth, in theory, can it take pictures anywhere you want? Yes. Abram nodded and said, in theory, this is true. But because the Earth is round, the best angle for satellite photography is vertical overhead photography. So the coverage of each satellite is limited. If you want to achieve global photography, you must have enough satellites to wrap up the entire Earth like a ball of yarn. This ensures that no matter where you want to shoot, a satellite will pass over it within tens of minutes. If there are few satellites, this cycle will be lengthened. Charlie asked him, how many satellites are needed to achieve the goal of being able to shoot anywhere in one day? If the technology is mature, 4 to 5. Abram said, most of the mature private enterprises in the United States now have this capability. Some of the more advanced ones can even achieve 8 revisits a day. That is, if necessary, they can control the satellite to pass by the target point 8 times a day and take a picture every 3 hours. Charlie asked him, how much is a company like this worth? Can it be bought? Abram thought for a while. If I remember correctly, it's about 30 to 40 billion US dollars. Then, Abram said, but it's really troublesome to buy such a company. Most companies in the United States are started by founders who raise funds bit by bit from angel investment. When the market value reaches several billion US dollars, there are at least dozens of shareholders behind them. It is not easy to buy them, and it also involves the issue of delisting and privatization. Although these companies are private enterprises, they have mastered some core technologies to a certain extent, and the US government will not allow buy and sell at will. If they really want to sell them, both the buyer and the seller must undergo strict review before it is possible. Charlie asked him, that is to say, if I give Musk enough money to buy his SpaceX, he will not sell it to me? Abram nodded and said, it is impossible to sell it to you completely, because his words are not final. SpaceX has not yet been listed, but the estimated market value is more than 100 billion US dollars. Although Musk is a major shareholder, there are still many complicated capital connections behind him, and there are probably too many shareholders to count. So he can only sell you a certain proportion of shares at most. And you will probably only be a shareholder if you buy shares. And you will have no control over the company's business and secrets. And for the US government, aerospace technology is definitely more important. It is possible for you to find a way to buy an inconspicuous remote sensing satellite company, but it is extremely difficult to buy SpaceX. Charlie said, compared to that, buying SpaceX does not mean much to me. Buying a remote sensing satellite company, as you mentioned, is the most cost-effective. After buying it, I will invest some money to increase the number of satellites. It would be best if it can achieve revisiting once an hour. Abram said, if you can find a suitable white glove from the United States, this can still be achieved. This white glove must first be 100% reliable. Secondly, he has to be American. And he must be white, not a minority, let alone an immigrant. Thirdly, he must have a certain social status. And the Department of Homeland Security must be 100% confident in him. In this way, there will be no background check when acquiring the company, as long as the government does not intervene. The shareholders behind the scenes can be handled with money. If the normal valuation of this company is 4 billion US dollars, $6 billion or even $8 billion should be enough to make the shareholders compromise. After the company is bought under the name of the White Gloves, the data will be directly synchronized to you. If you have any specific needs, let the White Gloves raise the needs of the team. And the team only needs to do it. White Gloves. Charlie thought about it. The people he knew who had a certain social status in the United States were the Yin family, the Fei family, and the Rothschild family. The Yin family and the Fei family are both Chinese families. Especially the Yin family, which has begun to invest heavily in China. It is definitely not suitable for them to do such things. The Fei family will also be more or less suspected because of their Chinese identity. But the Rothschild family will never have to go through that kind of trouble. Their social status and their influence in the US government are unmatched by anyone or any family. Thinking of this, he suddenly became clear in his mind and smiled. As for the right White Gloves, I actually have a good candidate. It should be easy to let the second person in the Rothschild family do this.